Hello, and welcome to another episode of What's on the Pile. I'm Nathan Bezner, and with me is Jenner,
Presents.
Wagner,
That's Wagner.
and Hsien.
Yep.
Let me just adjust this a little bit before I continue. There we go. Now it doesn't look like like Jenner's just peeking over the side.
The framing of is based on the positioning of my webcam, and I honestly don't know how to do it otherwise, because otherwise I would have to move the webcam underneath my monitor, and it would be shooting right up my nose.
Gotcha.
Sit on a dictionary.
Yeah.
The problem is my desk is relatively low as well. It's an imperfect collection of conditions. So in the meantime, I have this box over my head that occasionally has a cat on it. Welcome to What's on the Pile.
This week we will be discussing what is considered a classic comedy.
Is it though?
I think it is.
Is it really? Is it really?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
I wasn't even aware of that, and I'm someone who loves the movie.
It's the golf clap. The golf clap is like since that is seeped into the general consciousness. It's part of the pantheon of.
Did that movie invent the golf clap?
No, when they do golf clap, they popularized it.
That feels like a reach.
It's not.
I would have thought it's the other quote, but I'm sure we'll come back to that.
Yeah.
Which? Oh, I guess we can talk about it later.
Yeah.
Well, we'll come back to that.
Anyway, we're watching Men at Work, written and directed by and starring Emilio Estevez, along with his brother Charlie Sheen. And in this one, we find Carl, played by Charlie Sheen, and James, Emilio Estevez, as garbage workers with some vague aspirations. They play pranks, act like immature assholes, and generally wreak havoc and spy on women from their window. Enter Lewis, Keith David, a Vietnam vet and brother to Carl and James' boss, who is brought on to make sure they don't screw up. The poor man.
Sure the movie has a plot.
This poor man has to put up with their shit for the entire movie, and I feel for him. I really do. Hilarity ensues.
You didn't even mention the dead body.
I'm not. Yeah. Well, we're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about all that stuff.
Also, were their aspirations vague? They want to open a surf shop, but they even have a name for it.
That's still pretty vague.
That's pretty vague.
And they wear their suits under their garbage uniforms.
But when he let that one woman use his board, and he was like,
He did seem like offended at first, or like, my surfboard?
Yeah, but then he didn't care. That's exactly what would happen to their business.
Do I really like this girl that much? Correct me if I'm wrong. The surf shop is supposed to be called. I just saw the movie, but it's something like Carl and James's Surf Shop.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And James's name is James St. James.
I am kind of stunned we didn't see them toking up this entire movie, because I feel like that is what is missing from their characters.
They are
I think
drinking.
you're wrong.
I mean, Charlie Sheen's putting Jägermeister in his breakfast shake.
Yeah.
A lot of it too.
That's a very Charlie Sheen feeling thing.
And they have a bottle of Jägermeister in their garbage truck because they chug from it later during the movie too, during the day.
I mean, Matt's definitely onto something. This feels like stoner humor without the stone or the being stoned.
Yeah,
There's a stoner. There's a stoner in it.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's as a stoner. That's not really like stoners don't watch that movie when they get high. That's not one of the go-tos.
I was going to say a lot of their decision making in the film would have made more sense had they been high for the entire movie. Specifically, panicking like all hell because they shot the guy who turned up dead, but they shot him in the butt with an air rifle. And
it feels like a very Cheech and Chong.
Well,
only someone who was really high could think that they would get blamed for the man.
They are drunk.
And those two cops are out to get them. Like very
yes, that
clearly.
is true.
So I mean, I think that's the plot device they put in there. Because otherwise, yes, of course, he was strangled, not shot in the butt. Then you just call the cops. But then the actual dickhead cops show up and they're like, "Fuck."
Well, also remember,
it all.
Go ahead. Oh, I was going to say, just featuring the 80s comedy stalwart Cameron Dye. Another one of those guys who I don't think ever had the career that he probably should have. Even so, you were saying.
The situation... Which one of us were saying? I just... The situation they were in, they were both idiots, I think. And they were panicking because it's the first dead body they've seen. Neither of them have ever been put in a situation like that. And here's Keith David, an authority figure who says, I hate cops. I'm pretty sure they're following his lead at that point.
Well, I'm pretty sure they were afraid of him enough, beyond being drunk, that they were going to do what he said. So I'm pretty sure Keith David had the central control of the whole thing. But I think the asshole cops who are out to get them for no fucking reason is also feeding into the stoner humor aesthetic of it all. So that it was more evidence in my mind that they should have been high the whole time.
Yeah.
Somebody getting feedback. There was like a bouncing, bumping sound.
Not I. If I'm not hearing it, I'm probably doing it. I'll try to refrain from bumping things.
Okay. I just heard like a squeaky bumping thing.
I don't know about you guys. This was my first time seeing Keith David, by the way. Because I hadn't seen
They Live.
Yeah, They Live. I hadn't seen that yet. But
and The Thing.
I hadn't seen The Thing either.
I hadn't seen Platoon.
Oh wait, maybe I had seen Platoon, but maybe I didn't recognize him. Anyways, but he made a big impression when I first saw him.
Oh, yeah, no. The supporting players kind of walk away with the picture.
Yes.
I mean, Leslie Hope as the very put upon female protagonist is lovely and very game for whatever this movie is throwing at her.
Terry Bauer. That's what I mainly know her as.
That's where I was like, who the fuck? Leslie Hope. How do I know her?
Hair.
The best thing in the movie, the single best thing in the movie is a wonderfully goofy performance by our pal John Getz as the villain.
Yeah,
Nate's neighbor,
my neighbor,
vacation neighbor.
Yep.
He's just an absolute joy every moment he's on screen with those goofy little fake teeth and that slightly Poindexterish delivery. He's just a joy to watch, being just numbnuts in this movie.
And he plays the exact same character in Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead.
Yep.
Another movie I really enjoyed as a kid.
He was typecast for a while as a smarmy guy because The Fly probably kicked that off. Because nobody liked that dude.
Yeah.
He was great in it, though.
Yeah. And he was right the whole time. Yeah. He was like, this guy's a psychopath. Stay away from him. Oh, wait, he's a giant fly. What did I say?
Even though I didn't go that far, but yeah, okay, I feel vindicated.
The two guys who play the comically obvious hitmen are a joy. I mean, I love the one throwaway shot of their license plate, which actually says hitmen.
Yeah.
Mario is amazing. I love that guy.
You're done.
What a complete psychopath he is. He's like, I just don't like killing cops that much.
Oh, that guy.
Yeah, this is a movie that, and of course, Keith David basically walks away with the second half of the picture by turning it all into varying degrees of spiraling hostage situation.
Dean Cameron, love that guy, miss that guy.
And in the midst of it is Charlie Sheen and Emilio Estevez, both doing their best imitation of abject deer in the freaking headlights in varying degree, without the justification of being stoned the entire time. This is. I am told there are several other Estevez extravaganzas that Emilio wrote and directed at various points. I'm told, reading up on the background on this, at some point John Hughes was interested in producing and possibly directing. Apparently, Estevez went through something like 15 more drafts of the script after the one that Hughes had read.
Wow.
That's interesting.
I mean, Estevez has always been, like, based on the movies I've seen or heard about, he's always been very socially minded and politically minded. This one apparently was about, environmental protection. Yeah. I mean, later he did the movie about the assassination of Bobby Kennedy. He did one fairly recently about, I believe it was about out-of-work teachers. But he's always... I mean, he did one with his father called The Way, about his father walking this pilgrimage in Spain, which I think I watched on a plane, which was actually pretty good. But
the way things are shot actually does show some semblance of talent as a director, which I'm told was not evident in the film that he had directed prior to this, which was a little gem. Wisdom. Yeah,
I've seen that. That's like a modern day Robin Hood movie with Demi Moore. Have you guys seen that?
No,
it's not a good.
I never felt the need to.
I think I saw it on cable in the very late '80s.
It was okay until the ending, when it literally is revealed to be all a dream.
Yeah,
the entire movie. I think he begins the movie like taking a bath. Then all this crazy shit happens, and it ends with him waking up in the bath. I'm like, oh, all right, back to life.
It's the worst.
It's the worst. It's the worst implementation of that I've seen, of that ending.
You just reminded me of one of the things that I'd forgotten I watched, which was Bela Lugosi meets a Brooklyn gorilla, which must be one of the first times that happened, in which literally the entire film is a dream.
Oh, there was no Petrillo.
Yeah, there was no before they woke up. There was just the dream, and then they wake up and they're a nightclub act.
Well, I mean, that actually goes, the earliest instance I can think of that being part of the plot is a creaky little actual gem just because of one particular scene called the Octopus from 1934. The title is SHH exclamation point, the Octopus.
Yeah, I've seen that listed in places.
Like I say, it is this creaky, ridiculous thing where the reveal of the villain of the picture is such a completely startling effect that the first time that I saw it, I jumped out of my chair. It's worth seeing it's worth seeing literally just for one scene in the movie. But
I'd like to address, since I think we need to, just that this movie I believe is dated.
There are lots of things that people could get away with as protagonists in movies in 1990 that they cannot get away with these days.
Well, this would have been shot in the 80s.
Yeah, the whole stalker
even more
subplot.
Yeah.
To be fair, this is Charlie Sheen we're talking about.
Yeah, but also the casual homophobia.
Yeah, Charlie Sheen himself is dated. So
the whole stalkery subplot.
The peeping Tom.
Yeah.
And you can see Estevez saying, like Rear Window. Not like Rear Window.
Nope. That's gross.
Yeah. The ridiculous attraction between our two leads when she really should not have entertained anything having to do with this guy at any point. There's a bunch of plot contrivances in this film. Half of them are driven by Keith David, and half of them are driven by Charlie Sheen and Leslie Hope being told that they have chemistry when they don't. So.
And she also doesn't know her boyfriend is dead at that time.
That's right. Yeah.
All she had was a fight with him, and she's like, "Let's make out with this random dude."
Were they were together? I didn't get the impression they were together. People kept referring to him as her boyfriend, but he was not actually her boyfriend. We never got an indication of that front.
He had a wedding ring.
She was some degree of his confidant. She was some degree of his confidant, but
his behavior when he came around to her apartment, I will note, was completely unexceptable.
Yeah.
He deserved the pellet gun.
Yeah. So I think I've outgrown this movie. I'm pretty sure I have. I did not find it as funny as I used to. I love Keith David. I love the interaction between Charlie Sheen and Emilio Estevez because they're just being brothers. And sometimes it feels like some of their scuffles are unscripted. They just look real. But yeah, it wasn't as funny to me this time around. And I could see why I liked it so much when I was younger, because it has a kind of goofball Looney Tunes quality to it by the end of the movie. Like,
was this in regular rotation for you, or?
Yeah. Yeah,
for me it was too as a kid.
As a PG-13 movie, this is one of those movies that probably got endless rotation on cable, before prime time.
Yeah.
Back when they wouldn't do R-rated movies before 8 o'clock at night.
That's
I
why.
have never actually seen this movie before today. I'm one of the noobs here.
Yeah.
Well, before I met Nate, I didn't think anybody was still thinking about this movie, and even by then, I hadn't seen it in like 15 years.
No, to this day, there are memes going on still of golf clap. It never stopped.
Okay, I wasn't aware of that. Mutated. I just thought it was that's interesting.
Yeah,
I knew this title as one of the things that always showed up in discount bins that I never bought.
It still does.
Eventually I did. So
I ended up getting this for free with a credit on Amazon Prime. But if I had been really, really patient at driving around to my local Dollar Trees, I feel confident that the MGM discount version would have been at one of them because I've seen it there a lot lately. I just never got around to picking it up. I do not regret not spending $1.25 on this movie. I didn't much care for it, to be honest.
I remember one thing. I remember the channel that I saw it on, and it was the Comedy Channel.
Mm-hmm. Oh, before they merged.
Yeah. So it was on there constantly because they had an advertisement that was it was somewhat national, I guess, where we'd have that one golf clap in the ad, and they play that ad so much. Just so much, it drilled it into people's heads.
Yeah, I mainly remember this movie from the awful reviews that it got when it was actually released.
Yeah.
I mean, 1990 was my high era of reading, film reviews semi-religiously, both in our local papers, national magazines, watching Siskel and Ebert, that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm. And to be perfectly honest, at this point, 18 minutes into the show, I've pretty much said everything I want to say.
Well, we can't leave the most quotable line in the entire film, like sitting there on the ground, which is, of course, "Oh look, someone threw away a perfectly good white boy."
Yeah,
that is the quote I have heard.
I've heard that too. Yeah,
which is still really close to a direct lift from Better Off Dead.
I don't remember it from Better Off Dead, but I've only ever seen that once. So,
damn shame to waste a perfectly good white boy like that.
Okay,
I will say because
something of like that. My memory for the exact. It's been a long time since I've seen Better Off Dead. But
I mean, with when this movie came out, the 1-2 punch of this and the Young Guns movie, like I think Emilio Estevez was like my favorite actor when I was 10 years old. It did lead me to seek out The Breakfast Club. Then the St. Elmo's Fire. I don't remember if that movie's any good. And also the Mick Jagger classic Free Jack.
Yeah, I saw that in the theater.
St. Elmo's Fire is hilarious. St. Elmo's Fire is this utterly navel-gazing, self-conscious melodrama that just plays at pure camp at this point.
I mean, the theme song is still amazing. I still love the theme song.
Oh
yeah.
Never seen it.
But Free Jack is amazing.
It's funny.
No interest.
I still need to see Free Jack.
Free Jack is so fun.
You don't really need to, but it's awesome.
Yeah, I've never seen Free Jack either, but
I've Anthony Hopkins in it, Jonathan Banks.
I've heard so many summary reviews.
St. Elmo's Fire basically is Joel Schumacher working in that sort of uncomfortably transitional phase, going from being a hairdresser to being a film director.
Yes, you do.
That explains a lot. I could just, for some reason, the St. Elmo's Fire theme playing.
No, that was a big hit.
Someone running with fabulous hair is like integral to that. So.
Even John Parr, who sang it, had fabulous hair.
Well, it was the era.
Schumacher kind of vexes me because he's made what I think is one of the best films I've ever seen, which is Falling Down. But he's also made one of the worst films I've ever seen, which is an easy shot, but it really, really is.
Dying Young?
No. Yeah, the Batman and Robin movie with Mr. Freeze. I saw that. I saw that movie opening night in Santa Fe, right next to the college, where they have a huge film program, and half the people that work there worked on the movie. And so they were all in the audience, all these Hollywood people, and just me and my mom, like, oh my God. And they openly booed that film. Wow. I've never felt such animosity from a crowd in my entire life. It was terrifying, but
That's pretty spectacular.
Yeah.
So my experience with that one was I saw it with a friend, and midway through, we sort of realized what we were watching, and my friend leans over to me and says, "Do you think if Alfred gets better, he's going to give Commissioner Gordon his daughter back?" Because, of course, in that film, they made that girl Alfred's daughter instead of Gordon's daughter. But yeah,
because who gives a shit?
Even on a continuity level, that film couldn't get anything right. So
Yeah.
She doesn't have red hair.
There have been attempts to play revisionist history with Batman and Robin. I mean, every so often somebody comes out of the woodwork saying it's really actually an unappreciated cult class. No, it fucking isn't.
Oh,
it's
really?
a bad movie.
Didn't Schwarzenegger get paid like $40 million for that?
He got paid a ridiculous amount,
and he got top billing over George Clooney.
Yeah.
Well, George Clooney was still doing ER back then, wasn't he?
Yeah.
He
had just done From Dusk Till Dawn.
Yeah, so that makes sense.
I don't think he was a bad Batman or Bruce Wayne. I would have liked to see him in a different movie.
The world around him was not up to snuff.
Legend has it to this day, George Clooney. If you mention that, if you run into George Clooney and mention that you saw Batman and Robin in the theater, he will give you $5. Legend has it. I have not put that one to the laboratory method.
If I ever meet him, I'll tell him.
If I recall correctly, and I probably don't because it's been a while, but this is kind of my head canon at this point, mostly for the response that my friend had. I believe that my friend Bailey and I had somehow gotten free tickets to see it. We came out afterwards. Bailey looks at me and he says, "I want my money back."
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Nothing has toppled that as a disappointment for me in any superhero film. There have been several disappointments.
Spider-Man 3?
Yeah,
Spider-Man,
no.
Well, I guess with Spider-Man 3, I was an adult, so
Yeah.
I guess with Batman and Robin, was I a child? When did that come out? Maybe I wasn't. Maybe I was
like
already
95, 90.
I was a teenager.
96. No, closer to 97, I would think. Later?
Well, also,
it feels like 97, but my sense of time isn't so great at this point either.
Because I think Batman Forever was like 94, 95.
94.
Right.
You're right. When Batman and Robin was 97.
But see, Batman Forever wasn't that great. Spider-Man 2 was so good.
Yeah.
When Spider-Man 3 came out, that was, to me, much more crushing disappointment.
I can see that. It's a further distance to fall.
I've never followed Spider-Man as a comic, but I did follow Batman, so I have a closer connection with the world.
Spider-Man 3 I didn't take as that bad. It's just kind of mediocre. It's disappointing. And disappointment often stings worse than who the fuck thought this was a good idea. But
if we're working off of that logic, then mine worst one should be the third X-Men movie, where the first time they did the Phoenix.
Yeah.
But I got to be honest,
that was infuriating in the theater.
It was infuriating, but I wouldn't say it was obviously it was a disappointment, but.
I was infuriated.
I kind of realized going in that I wasn't going to be having a good.
Again, a very bad third installment, coming in on the heels of an incredibly good second installment.
Wait, so what about the second time they did the Phoenix Saga? I still haven't seen it.
I thought it was okay.
It's fine.
No.
Mediocre.
It's not bad.
The villains are
completely underwritten.
Is that the one with the alien lady who murders a whole family?
Jessica Chastain just kind of not being there.
Fuck, I hated that movie.
I have characters.
One gets the feeling that it's another one of those instances where a lot of the movie ended up on the cutting room floor. But Jessica Chastain gives such a non-performance as such a non-character in that was one of the points that seriously started to shake my faith in her. Which has continued to be shook, having seen the 355, which is the worst movie of the decade.
I won't be seeing that.
No, I just gotta see it.
That movie is so bad it's funny until it's so bad it's offensive. It is the worst spy movie I have ever seen, and I've seen Salt. Yeah.
Shane, this has been a childhood favorite for you, Men at Work. How do you feel about it today?
I mean, I still enjoyed it, recognizing every second of the way that it was a bad movie, and then feeling like, we get Matt and Jenner have to watch this, like feeling bad about that. Like I remember when I made you guys watch Peanut Butter Solution, that at least had like sort of a cult following. It was on Disney. It was on the Disney Channel, so there were a lot of people with memories of that movie. When I watched this,
that would made a lot more sense if you understood or if you knew anything about Czech fantasy movies, which was like
or fever dreams,
or which to the extent that that's not redundant.
Yeah, as I was watching this movie, I was like, okay, Jenner and Wagner have to watch this, and this movie, I wasn't aware of any kind of cultural impact this movie had. So to me, this was just a forgotten, mediocre movie that you guys were being forced to watch, and I'm like, ugh, this is kind of embarrassing. I still love it, but I mean, I watched it at a certain time in my life, and that's the only reason I love it.
Yeah, you have an emotional connection to it, and I think everybody can respect that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel you.
I mean, I probably need to revisit Kidco one of these days. So,
what's Kidco?
I don't remember what
exactly
Kidco is.
I showed on HBO when I was a kid.
Oh,
yeah.
Well, I don't think we have anything more to say about Men at Work, do we?
I would point to it as an instance of people describing a movie as being a classic simply because it's been around long enough and somehow stayed in print.
Oh, yeah. it has an interesting soundtrack. You guys were talking about
Stuart Copeland. Yeah,
there was a lot of reggae in the soundtrack, which is interesting because you guys were talking about how it should have been Stone the whole time. There's there's some Bob Marley on there. There was somebody else that was related to that culture.
Technotronic.
Technotronic was. Have you guys watched the show? Did you guys watch the
Netflix on Earth?
Kunk on Earth. Great show.
Yeah.
I love that show.
But I mean, score by Stuart Copeland, who of course I love the police, which actually the fact that may have actually been an implicit joke in some of Keith David's lines. But yeah, the score, like his score for Highlander 2 around the same time. Stuart Copeland was not a great film composer. I'm just saying it.
Okay. He couldn't pull off the Trent Reznor.
He could not pull off a Trent Reznor.
Or the Johnny Greenwood. Johnny Greenwood's great too.
Yeah. He could not pull off a Trent Reznor. He could not pull off a Tom York or a Johnny Greenwood. He could not pull off a Toto or a Queen. He was not a particularly good film composer.
Don't forget Danny Elfman.
No, that's right.
That's fair. Yeah.
Well, I think
not even in sight.
I think we can move on from that movie and leave it on our past.
Let's one last point. It just occurred to me that I used to do a movie night, and it would have made an amusing pairing with another movie as the only two movies I can think of where a corpse is rolling down the street out of control with Chud 2. But that's just me.
If not Weekend at Bernie's. It's like Weekend at Bernie's, but yeah.
Did Bernie go down a hill out of control?
I don't think so.
I mean, when they first meet the cops in the dead body, that's literally a Weekend at Bernie's scene.
Yeah,
it is. It is.
There's even the scene where Keith David puts the guy's hand up like this. It's great.
Originality is the art of concealing your sources, Emilio.
I used to love those Weekend at Bernie's movies when I was a kid. I love those too.
Next up, we're going to find out you love Mannequin.
I loved Mannequin as a kid.
I did. Yeah.
Never saw Mannequin 2.
Kim Cattrall was fine, as was Christy Swanson.
I'm not sure you're even allowed to watch Mannequin these days. So
yeah, probably
mostly because of I think his name is Hollywood.
We probably need an actual Meshack Taylor.
Yeah,
we probably need an actual adaptation of John Collier's story, Evening Primrose, but of course that would be a horror movie. Anyway.
All right, well, let's move on, please, to what we watched this week. I'm not going to go first because I don't remember what I watched this week, and I got to refresh my mind. So I'm gonna look up my watch history and let somebody else go first.
Okay.
I have not seen a lot of Consequence, so I can go first.
All right.
Go for it.
Okay, I have seen a few episodes of ongoing series like Secret Invasion. Had a family visit last week, so I didn't get a lot of stuff to watch the first part of last week. In any case, aside from restarting stuff that I'd already watched, like The Great or the Netflix Lost in Space series, which is terrific, by the way. As far as actual features, I caught a 1960s proto-Ghibli film, so to speak, one of the early films that Miyazaki worked on called Flying Phantom Ship, which was sort of nifty, not least for some robots that definitely resembled some of the ones that Miyazaki ended up bringing back in his later career. It's a minor picture, but it's fun. Saw a completely inconsequential vampire movie, a Tubi original called Captive. Guy's chained up in the basement. What's his deal?
Is he a vampire?
As it turns out, no. I'm gonna drop the spoiler. He's a strigoi. He has two hearts, so if you have to stab him in one, you still have to stab him in the other. Anyway, saw the first volume, or I guess the first half at this point of season 3 of The Witcher, which I am still finding entertaining, and still, ever more not looking forward to Luke Hemsworth potentially taking over that role. So if you like the series, it's got more of what you like, I think. And the most interesting thing that I've seen in the last couple of weeks was The Blackening.
Oh, you saw The Blackening? I'm excited about that.
It is worth being excited about. It is a distinct delight. So,
what is it? I have not heard of this.
It's a horror film made by everything black people.
Oh,
The Blackening. It is, as far as I can tell, it's a satire, and looks like it's an incredibly biting satire, because even the trailer just has me with a huge grin on my face.
It is
tagline, they can't all die first, or something like that.
Yes.
Correct. It is sharp, it is funny, it is freaking or very nearly freaking merciless. I recommend it highly.
I can't rent it. I'm waiting. I'm waiting a little bit, but I will be renting it as soon as I can afford it.
Hey, fair enough.
I can't spend $20 on a rental when I know there are going to be physical media out there.
Yeah, that one is coming to physical. It is worth buying unseen if it hits disc before you have the money to throw at a rental.
Cool. Sounds good.
Yeah.
I remembered everything I saw, but did somebody else want to go next?
I can or not, whatever you like.
Yeah.
Go for it. You go.
Okay. So first I was in Atlanta very briefly, so I stopped by Videodrome and did my due diligence. And picked up a handful of things, including Hourglass Sanitarium.
Oh, Haas, nice.
Crime Wave.
Hell yeah.
Hey.
Love that
a handful
movie.
of stuff off of the discount shelves. Something called Book of Monsters. No idea. This one, if I was a shy person, I wouldn't put it up there. I've heard about this. It's kind of a.
Is that the?
I've not heard about that one.
What is the plot of that
movie? He is suspicious that a lot of disappearing people are disappearing up his friend's ass. That is literally all I know about it.
Well, okay, I'm already sold on.
You're intrigued.
So
yes.
That's good for a double feature with Ant Farm Dickhole.
Or
what's that movie? Yeah, Milo. That's what I was thinking of. Trying to think of
Candy Corn. I have no idea what it is, but I think I recognize the little person on the cover.
No idea.
And Samurai Cop 2.
Nice.
Okay.
Genuine.
That's a good one.
Damn right.
And I picked this up, which is an advertisement for the Fukons. This is something that has existed in the periphery of my awareness for about 20 years. And it has always looked terrible. It appears to be Japanese storytelling with mannequins, kind of creepy looking mannequins. And I took it up to the front register and put it down. And the guy behind the register said, "I'm not even going to charge you for that. It's terrible." So that is an advertisement in and of itself for Videodrome.
Videodrome is awesome. Yes.
Yes, Videodrome is awesome. Please go there and buy their stuff.
All right.
Right on.
As far as stuff I've actually watched, we've had movie night in which we did Goofy Movie.
Classic.
Right on.
We got all the way to the first Avengers. Which
nice.
is not as great a movie night as you would think it is. What you don't realize is when you're setting this up in front of 3 7-year-olds, the first entire half of the movie is talking. It's all of them sniping at one another. And these kids did not realize who Hulk was until he transformed, which was about 20 minutes from the end of the film. But they loved it at that point. But there was a real struggle for attention until you got to the second half.
I can see this.
Yeah.
And Balto, which is not terrible for, kids material. I also finally got around to watching Dungeons and Dragons.
Oh,
Yes.
Yes.
Fun, not consequential. Doesn't have to be consequential.
I
but
would
it's
agree
fun.
with that.
I agree with that, but for the people who it's made for in the first place, it's a delight. It is as perfect a Forgotten Realms film, I am told, as we could possibly imagine.
Yes, and it does not make the mistake of having the worldwide stakes, which is what every D&D game I have ever been in has always ended at. Because when you get to 20th level, you have to save the world. It's obligatory. So I think it actually did the right choice here, but don't think you're stepping into a gigantic epic. It's a fun movie.
Right. I'm assuming it's like a comedy.
I loved the character writing. The character writing was just all of the byplay between the characters. It was like playing a campaign with witty people, which is the way you want to do that.
Yeah, that's what I was. The way it was written by it was John
Francis Daly and the other guy.
Francis Daly, who was on Bones. That's where I first saw him.
Freaks and Geeks, right?
Yeah, Freaks and Geeks. Actually, that's the first.
He was Sam Weir.
Yeah, it's a little disparate in its own nature there too. I mean, it's funny, but it's not like there are rolling gags going through. There are moments of funny, and then we move on. There are moments of funny, and then we move on. I struggle a little bit to describe it without sounding like I'm putting it down. I really enjoyed it, but it was not a giant epic. It's slight. That's actually the term I was looking for. And it took me 3 tries, nothing to do with the movie, just the time I had available. But I did see Renfield. It's very, very good. I saw 2 other movies, the ones I actually want to talk about. The first one I saw as God intended on the back of an airplane seat, which is The Pez Outlaw. Have any of you heard of this?
Pez as in candy?
Pez as in candy.
As in promise her anything but give her.
No, what?
Promise her anything but give her a Pez.
Oh, no, I haven't heard.
Stand by me.
Yeah. No. So The Pez Outlaw is a documentary about a man who was in the Pez collector circuit who started smuggling enormous numbers of Pez from Europe into the United States for the collector's market until the controller of Pez America, who is known as the President, because of course he is. Yeah.
It's
decided
available.
Decided to quash him. And it is a very, those who are in or were in at any point fandom, it is an extremely familiar environment of a fandom you probably never brushed up against. Of people who pay like $11,000 for a particular Pez because they are fanatical collectors, and some of them are a little off. And this guy, whose name, if I remember correctly, was Steve Glue.
That's kind of wonderful in its own right.
Isn't it, though?
That is a great name for a guy with some kind of con going on.
So, is this like a live action, but based on
documentary?
Okay, so it is a documentary.
And it contains Steve Glue in it.
Okay.
Including interviews, but it's also a lot of recreations. I mean,
I've seen that style.
They
Yeah.
recreate PezCon, which I have to admit probably didn't cost them a lot, because you just need to rent out a hotel and put up a bunch of folding tables and tablecloths and a few displays. So it is absolutely charming to anyone who has been in fandom in any capacity, and it's very familiar with the people who tried to make fandom into a career, and it kind of didn't work out in the end. Not like you develop skills in fandom that you then apply to something more effective in the real world, but those people who actually tried to make something of fandom itself.
We all know those guys.
Yeah, we do, and we all wished them well, but knew that it probably wasn't going to work out. Or maybe not. Maybe you all know people who it actually worked out for in the end, or who are still fighting their way through it.
More the latter than the former, but yeah.
Yeah. But it's really charming. It's on all the Delta flights at the moment. Grab it before, if you go on a flight at some point, grab it before it disappears. It's worth your time. It's kind of slight, but it's a true story, and it contains a whole lot of information about smuggling copyrighted material across country lines that is kind of interesting.
Always fun.
Yeah, the whole aspect was that Pez USA had a tight control on which designs from Europe were released in the US because they didn't want silly or fluffy stuff, but collectors would pay an enormous amount of money for the silly or fluffy stuff. So, yeah, and there are other twists in it that are a little too complicated to get into. The other thing I just saw, there was one other thing. I've been exercising lately, so I've been working my way through the old serial of the Phantom Creeps.
I don't know that one.
Yeah, it's a Bela Lugosi. Bela Lugosi plays a evil mastermind, mad scientist, but it is only worth it because in the final episode, you have never seen anyone as surprised to have their hideously ugly robot explode as Bela Lugosi in that last episode. It is kind of worth it.
Phantom Creeps was serialized in, I believe, the first Comedy Channel series of Mystery Science Theater 3000.
Part of it was. I don't think they got to the end.
I don't think they ever finished.
It's 12 episodes. It's a hell of a long one.
Yeah.
And the last thing that I'll talk about is just today we took the daughter to go see Elemental, which was extremely pretty, but kind of slight, and not actually the story you think you're going to see. It sells itself as a romance, a kind of sweethearted romance. It's actually an immigrant story, because it's all about the fire people who are sort of sequestered in their own little ghetto in Element City, and the elderly shopkeep who is from the old country and wants his daughter to take over, but to always remember her history and stuff like that. So there is a fire and water romance in it. It's entirely predictable in that aspect. It has the immigrant story in it. It's entirely predictable in that aspect, but it is worth it for animation fans who want to see just really technically beautiful animation.
All right. I refuse to see that movie because I hate the very concept. Trying to make some kind of allegory between different types of people by doing it as elements. Like, you're not gonna fucking make babies together. What are you gonna do?
Yeah.
You're gonna fuck each other up if you touch each other. Idiot.
One literally extinguishes the other. It's an absolutely tortured metaphor, on the face of it. Anyway,
it is.
That it goes.
They sort of address that, but in a way that offers no explanations. It just, works.
Oh, tell me this has a bullshit physics, will out solution.
No, there's no physics.
They don't even care. They don't even really.
No. It's fire can't be with water because fire extinguishes water, and water boils. And sorry,
literally what happens?
Fire boils water, but for them it doesn't. At one point.
What?
Because they're in love, maybe?
Because the script called for it.
Have I mentioned lately I don't like Pixar?
Yeah, you have mentioned that.
They're not.
I haven't liked them in a while.
They're not really
Yeah.
Pixar anymore. All the
La-
old
the
guard
last
is
thing-
gone.
The last thing they did I liked was Brave.
Yeah.
One point, they did have a short in the front of the film, which is what they usually do, and this short
short's
is a
usually
It's a continuation of Up.
Oh, that's right. I did hear about that. How was
that
it?
wasn't. I thought that.
How did that go?
I didn't click the link because I thought it was a joke.
No, it's a continuation of Up. It's Carl going on. Carl is nervous about going on a date.
Isn't it called Down?
I don't think so.
Well, they should have been.
They missed a bet there.
They did, although it wouldn't have made a lot of sense with the actual thing. But I don't know.
Well, you got to figure at it. Even at his age, maybe Carl's down. Sorry.
I don't know.
I don't know. It rather panderingly gives you more of Doug than you think you want a lot more Doug. I think this gives you more than you actually wanted. But my wife is sitting here saying no because she's a dog person. So
I love Doug. Doug is best as we learned from the weird little mini series that they had on Disney Plus last year. Doug is best in small doses.
Yeah.
Like Baby Groot.
Yeah.
Exactly.
If you watch the Baby Groot series, Baby Groot is an asshole.
I believe it. Do you guys mind taking a 2-minute break before we go on to Shane and my movies?
Sure.
I can do that.
Great. All right. We will be right back. And we're back. We are back from our break, from our lovely, lovely break. Thank you, listeners, for allowing us to take a break.
Sorry for rambling.
Shane, what did you watch?
So I thought I had 4 things or more because it's been like 2 weeks, but I can only think of 3, so I'll just do the 3. I can't think of what else. First thing I watched was Creed 3, which is on Amazon Prime. I watched because I did enjoy the first 2, and I also heard an interview. So Michael B. Jordan directed this one, his debut. He said in interviews that he was a big fan of anime, and that there was a lot of anime influence in the way he shot the boxing scenes. So I went in with that, and there's some stuff in there, like there's the classic shot where someone gets punched in the gut really hard. The guy doubles over. There's a close up of his face, like there's sweat flying off in slow motion. Then it cuts to his back. There's sweat flying off his back in slow motion. There's another scene where someone launches a flurry of punches at him, and it goes into slow motion, and he like zips around all the punches like an anime character.
Fuck yeah! I want to see this.
Okay. But I want to talk about the story. I'm going to give away a little bit of the story, not all of it. The story was apparently written. The story was written by Ryan Coogler and his brother and someone else, and the screenplay was written by Coogler's brother. Look, I don't know how boxing works, but here's what happens. So, Jonathan Majors is in it. He's a childhood friend. He shows up out of nowhere. He's been in jail for 18 years. He was an amateur boxer, but he's essentially nobody, right? He goes up to Creed. Michael B. Jordan says, "I want a title. I want a shot at the title." And Creed understandably says, "Yeah, that's not going to happen. Like, that's just not going to happen." A week later, the title, the heavyweight champion, his planned fight falls through. So Creed says, like, "Hey, how about this guy?" And he is allowed to fight. Jonathan Majors is allowed to fight, and he wins. He is now the heavyweight champion of the world. He is Evander Holyfield. He is Mike Tyson after one match out of nowhere.
A little more Buster Douglas, but
still, his first fight, he's the champion of the world. And then, of course, he starts being a dick to Creed. So Creed's like, "You know what? I'm going to challenge you." And at this point, Creed has also been retired for 3 years. He has not fought. So Creed says, "I'm going to challenge you to the title." And then there's like a 3-minute montage of him training a little bit. And then they fight, and you can guess what happens. And that's the movie. Performances aren't bad. Direction's not bad. But this story seems so dumb. I couldn't believe what I was doing as I was watching it. I can't think of any professional sport that would work this way. Where a random person literally off the street, out of prison, could come in and just overnight be the champion.
I can think of one. Professional wrestling. Because that would be a great story. But yeah,
that would be a lot more stage managed, one assumes.
exactly. That
Right.
that would be the story they tell you about this
Yeah.
character who showed up out of nowhere. But
Right.
Well,
And
I want to watch the fight scenes. I'm gonna watch the fight scenes,
I pretty much told you all the anime stuff in it.
but I want to visually see it.
Yeah,
That's why I want
I'm
to
still
look up the fight scenes.
I'm still gonna give it a look at some point. Loved the first one, liked the second one. So
Yeah.
I haven't seen
give
the
it a
first or
shot.
second.
I found it charming that Michael B. Jordan was so into anime. He's like, I'm going to put that into this movie.
That's awesome.
It's just awesome.
by all accounts, he is super into anime. So yeah.
I have seen one Rocky movie.
Is it Rocky?
Yeah,
Eh.
and that's it. I
mean, Creed 2 is good, but it is beat for beat the exact plot of Rocky 3.
4.
What?
4.
No. Well, 4 is about Drago, which is his son is in 2, but 2 has the thing in Rocky 3 where he fights the guy, immediately gets destroyed, and then trains and fights him again, which is what happens in Rocky. It was the Mr. T thing in Rocky 3, I believe.
which of the Creed movies do you get a robot butler in? That's what we want to know. There's a robot butler in one of the Rocky movies. Sorry,
Is it really? I don't remember. I did watch all.
I've
It's
heard
one
of
of those
that.
stupid. Yeah, it's one of those stupid remote-controlled balloons, basically.
Go with
Just have the-
probably 5.
Yeah.
Never saw 5.
I don't remember it. One other thing I watched was the new Arnold Schwarzenegger series Fubar.
How is that?
It's all right. It's fun. It's True Lies, the TV show.
Oh, fun.
It's fun. It's a fun action movie. It's 8 episodes. So Nate, as a warning, there's a lot of cheating in it.
Oh.
A lot of marital cheating in it.
Oh.
By multiple people.
Okay.
I know that bothers you a lot.
I won't
including
watch
the
it.
hero, or
But yeah.
Awkward.
Yeah, and they never really work out who ends up with who at the end. I mean, it ends on a cliffhanger. Mostly unknown cast. Jay Baruchel's in it.
Hey.
He's always fun.
Him playing against opposite Schwarzenegger is fun. They don't have a lot of scenes together. He's not in the show a lot. Baruchel, not Schwarzenegger's in it a ton. But it's a fun. He's lying to his family about being a CIA agent. He gets thrown onto this mission. There's a twist from the first episode I won't give away, which drives the rest of the story. But it's silly fun. I finished it. I was stuck at work for 21 hours this past weekend with a lot of dead time. So I had downloaded the back half of the show to my phone, finished the series while I was there. It was enjoyable enough. When I first started the series, it was one day where I overdid it at the gym, and I got home, and I could not walk or think. So that's when I put on the first episode, and it was perfect. So
I could not walk or think, so I watched Fubar.
So I sat down on the couch. What can I put on? Hey, there's this new Arnold show. The reviews haven't been great, but it's a fun, mindless little thing. It's charming. The last thing I watched was the new Indiana Jones movie in the theater.
Yeah.
Okay.
Not the worst thing ever. First of all, I can't answer whether or not it's better than Temple of Doom because I fucking love Temple of Doom. All right, that's my number 2 Indiana Jones movie.
Is it better than Crystal Skull?
Oh yeah, it's way better.
Okay.
Way
I was
better.
gonna say if you're even debating that, then it's better than Crystal Skull.
Okay.
Yeah, you can tell they were very careful not to do anything stupid like nuking the fridge or having a person swinging with the monkeys. They were very careful not to have anything outrageous like that. It was very safe in a way. I will say the one part I absolutely hated, was the first 20 minutes. The first 20 minutes is all flashback to Crusade era Indiana Jones. And I don't know how they haven't figured this out by now, because they did it with Captain Marvel. They've done it in other movies. The de-aging looks absolutely atrocious. Imagine Rogue One Leia walking and talking and doing action scenes for 20 minutes.
Oh God.
It was like that bad. Worse than that is that I don't know if they've altered the voice at all, but it is gravelly old man Harrison Ford voice coming through during World War II era Indiana Jones. It's very odd.
I like the way that what was I just thinking of? Better Call Saul did it. I like the way they did it.
How they do it? Which parts are you talking about?
When the Breaking Bad characters came on, when Aaron Paul and Walter White.
Did they really de-age them that
Brian
much?
No, they
Yes, they
didn't
did.
do shit.
Like,
It
Aaron
was
Paul looks like
awesome.
he's 40.
He
It's
yes,
called acting.
he's like 41. He's
Well,
like in his 40s, and
They have. I mean, they have to de-age Indy for World War II era, for Last
gives
Crusade
a
era.
shit.
But like, there were parts where
Just
during some of the,
just hire some other dude. I don't care.
some of the action scenes, this puppet of Indiana Jones looked like Neo from the big Agent Smith fight in The Matrix Reloaded, like that bad. On top of
Yeah, he went there.
this, and like, also the whole first 20 minutes are at night to hide the bad CG. It's very clear that it's all green screen. Oh, and Mads Mikkelsen, young Mads Mikkelsen, in this sequence looks like his character from Death Stranding. Like, that's how bad it looks.
Well, Death Stranding
Anyway.
looked pretty good.
Yeah, but for
I know. Yeah.
it looked good for
Mikkelsen hasn't aged at all in the first place.
Yeah.
Well, they still
You could put Mads Mikkelsen, in two roles 50 years apart. He would still look exactly the same.
That's because he is obviously a Highlander.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Anyways, the rest of the movie,
you get it.
With Paul Rudd.
yeah,
Mm.
and Keanu. The rest of the movie was good. Was a lot of fun. Phoebe Waller-Bridge is great. I don't want to give too much. The ending is really cool. They almost did something really fun at the end, but didn't, which I don't want to spoil. It was a good time. I went with a friend who had only a very casual connection with Indiana Jones. She likes Last Crusade. Had seen the first two, didn't really remember them. I don't think she saw Crystal Skull. She really enjoyed it. I know they've made a big deal of how much it's flopped. Probably because we've all been burned by Crystal Skull so badly. Is the main reason I would.
Yeah, my brother says that the term flop buster is starting seriously to be a thing this year. Between that and the Flash, everyone I know who has seen Dial of Destiny actually really liked it, or really liked it.
I liked it.
I'm still looking forward to it.
Did anyone say anything about the opening scenes? Maybe I haven't heard anything.
I've heard things about the opening scenes.
I've avoided spoilers thus far.
Okay.
I've watched a little bit of the Red Letter Media review, just a little bit, and then they started getting into spoilers, so I stopped.
I mean, the opening sequence had all the makings of a classic, like big Indiana Jones set piece, but you could tell it was all green screen. You could tell Toby Jones, he's like on the train, and the wind's blowing on him. You could tell he's just standing there, and there's just artificial background behind him. It just kind of took me out of it. Later on, I'm sure there's still some CG in all the action scenes, but they felt more real. They felt more practical.
I don't know. I think if I haven't seen it, so I obviously can't really argue, but if I'm getting it correctly, in movies in the past and serials and like that, that's exactly what they would do. They would rear project and just have a fan blowing on them, and it looks in no way realistic, but it's what they did.
Poor man process.
And so I wonder if they were
suspension of disbelief.
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah.
I wonder if it was a creative decision that kind of failed.
It's possible. It felt very airless.
We've all of us been living in varying degrees of queasy quarters of the uncanny valley for a long, long time now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyways, I would recommend it. I think you guys would probably enjoy it.
I'll see it when it comes out on video when it's $5, not 20.
I will see it at some point.
I feel like I'll catch it soon.
Definitely better than Crystal Skull.
Good.
They wrote out Shia LaBeouf with one line of dialogue, so he's not in it. So
I did get that spoiler.
Wow.
Yeah.
He died on his way back to his home planet.
It's kind of.
Unfortunately, he was in the same auto accident that unfortunately took care of Marvel's The Eternals. They all fell off a cliff and they all died, never to be seen again in one piece at all. Burned beyond all possible recognition.
Anyway, that's my 3. I can't think. I know I've watched more. I just can't remember. So, Nate, you're up.
All right. I have a whole bunch. So I'm going to try to do this in order that I think I should do it. I rewatched Just Cause, the Lawrence Fishburne, Sean Connery, Ed Harris, cat and mouse thriller thing with serial killers. And
I was always curious, but never actually saw it.
I remember really liking it in the theater and thinking, God damn, Ed Harris really is that good. Because that's when he was like starting his ascent to peakdom. He was always very intense in his roles, and everybody's like, oh, he's a great actor. And when he went from star to like superstar, was in that time period. So I watched this film, and it was the dumbest piece of shit I have ever seen. Oh my God, I liked this movie. It was awful. Oh, it was so dumb. It was so dumb. It was so dumb. Okay, nobody's going to see it, right?
I'm going to see it eventually, but you're free. It's
okay.
If I've
I didn't know it existed.
If there are still spoilers for me at this point, it's my fault, not yours.
And I always forget who plays the young man in it. Who is
Blair Underwood.
Blair Underwood. Okay, so Blair Underwood is taken in and is arrested, put on trial for the murder of a 10 or 11-year-old girl who was violently stabbed to death. And stripped naked, which we do see many times. And it's horrifying.
Okay.
Yeah. They don't try to cover shit up either. It's just all there. Just dead 10-year-old. And Sean Connery is this law professor who's an anti-death penalty guy. Who keeps getting challenged. Well, what would happen if such and such happened? Would you believe in the death penalty then? Would you kill somebody to save your family? And he's like, no, I would find a way out of it because I'm a liberal or some shit. But it's Sean Connery, so you know he won't be by the end. So, because the entire point of the movie is that some people deserve to die. And that the death penalty is a good thing. So what happens is this Blair Underwood is accused of the murder. He comes to the law professor, says, I didn't do this shit. Please help me. He comes into town and is like, hey, Lawrence Fishburne, you're the sheriff. Why'd you beat him in the interrogation? That wasn't a real interrogation. And Lawrence Fishburne's like, you're a dumbass. And this is all Lawrence Fishburne does the entire movie is call Sean Connery a dumbass. So he starts discovering these clues and then meets Ed Harris, who is in the same prison as Blair Underwood, who just happens to be the guy who really did it. And he's like, I confess. And he gives them information that sends Sean Connery to find like the murder weapon and stuff like that. And Sean Connery is like, yeah, I'm proving that it wasn't Blair Underwood. Spoiler alert, it was Blair Underwood. Yeah, so Lawrence Fishburne, through this whole thing, they keep getting new evidence, and he's just like, what are you doing? You're fucking this up. Leave him in jail. He's about to die. Don't do this. So they get out, and there's enough evidence to get Blair Underwood out. He comes out of prison. Everybody's happy and whatnot. Turns out, years ago, Sean Connery's wife, Kate Capshaw, which is a bad start, was an attorney. The opposite. For the state. Prosecutor. Thank you. That's the word. She was a prosecutor, and some guys brought in Blair Underwood when he was a teenager, going to a swanky college, had a full scholarship, super smart. He was found making out with a white girl. And so these country cops like pulled him out and beat the shit out of him and brought him in. And they had this whole story about how he was trying to rape her and everything. And Sean Connery's wife was trying to make a name for herself, so she tried to push the furthest extent of the law. And then she found out that from the girl that the cop that beat him was actually her ex-boyfriend from high school. So, but Blair Underwood spends a night in jail and gets fucked up. He ends up in the hospital and gets released. So when now happens when he gets released, he sees Sean Connery's wife. He's like, You're great. Thanks. We're wonderful. And then kidnaps her and her daughter later and is like, this is all about you. This whole thing has been about trying to get to you, to kill you and your family. And he talks about, they have a 10-year-old daughter, of course. And and he talks about raping her and cutting her up throughout a 20-minute car chase. And Sean Connery's just like, "Meh." And Lawrence Fishburne is like, I fucking told you, idiot. And
that should always be Lawrence Fishburne's role.
Yeah.
It very often is.
It turns out that when Blair Underwood was fucked up, he was castrated, which is why he wanted revenge so badly.
That's hard.
I don't feel that while in custody, getting castrated and then being in the hospital, no matter how small a town that is, you're not going to cover that up. You don't castrate a prisoner. That's dumb. Nobody's ever done it. It's ridiculous. It's a ridiculous conceit.
The entire thing sounds ridiculous, but
it is an awful piece of shit.
Yeah. Going back to the conversation we were having a few weeks ago, because racism is actually a reason why lots and lots of really, really unbelievably horrible things have happened, particularly in the southeastern United States, but basically anywhere in the United States and indeed most of the rest of the world. So that doesn't actually feel like a bridge too far, but it feels like deeply exploitative to take that character and put all the rest of that freight onto them as the villain of this piece.
We didn't need that at this point. He'd already viciously murdered a little white girl for really no reason at all. He just wanted to do it because he was mad that he got castrated and he hates white people or something. I think it's a pretty racist film the way it's written. In a lot of ways.
What do you remember liking about the film?
I thought it was a clever cat and mouse thing. I thought Ed Harris was so great.
Warner Brothers thrillers had a very particular shtick around that time. Like there was Copycat, a bunch of little cat and mousey things. They
were glossy.
Trade of it.
Yeah,
and none of them were any
and
good.
I got tricked. No.
Was this the same era as Kiss the Girls? Or am I getting my eras?
Yep, same era. That was Paramount, but same basic principle.
Yeah.
Okay.
That was
too clever by half. Cat and mouse thrillers.
Everybody chasing Seven.
That?
Yeah.
I was gonna say who started that. It was Seven. Okay.
Yeah, pretty much.
Anyway, never see that movie. It's not worth it. I got a couple I'm going to go over quickly. I saw Guardians of the Galaxy 3. I don't think I've talked about that yet. I really liked it. I liked Rocket Raccoon. I thought it was fun. Yeah. I had a good time. I have nothing really bad to say about it, and we can move on.
Right.
Nimona.
Agreed.
I saw Nimona.
I watched that too. That's okay. I forgot.
How is Nimona?
I fucking loved it. I thought it was wonderful.
Sorry, what is it?
Nimona is about this other world where everybody lives behind it. It's Attack on Titan, basically. Everybody lives behind a giant wall that's protecting them from monsters because 1,000 years ago, this monster came and almost killed everybody, but this warrior Glorith stopped it by piercing its heart.
I saw half of that. I'm sorry. I'm halfway through that.
Yeah.
Okay, so now I'm the person who hasn't seen Nimona. Okay, I know what I'm doing.
Okay, so no, it is what it is actually about is a murder hobo dragon shape changer who is fun, has fun dialogue. That's what it's actually about.
What it's really about is a trans allegory.
I'd heard that a bit too.
Because the comic creator is trans female presenting, and I believe female pronouns. I think she or they moved away from they them, but I haven't kept up with it really well. But yeah,
I've been meaning to give it a look. I just haven't gotten into it.
It's great. We can move on from that.
Right.
I just wanted to mention quickly. Had a fun time with Amelia. I had a fun time with Amelia when we went to the theater in Tryon, where my parents live, to see Shaun of the Dead, which I hadn't seen in a while. And
Nice.
Oh, wow.
so we got to see it in the theater, and again, Amelia loved it. It's one of her favorite horror movies. She thinks it's brilliant, and I've started her watching Spaced, which she cackles at.
Nice.
So
Nice.
I go ahead. Sorry.
no, she shares my taste, I think, in a lot of things. However, Declan pays way more attention to movies than she does.
I wish I still loved Shaun of the Dead as much as I did originally. Hot Fuzz and World's End have like leaps and bounds surmounted my love of Shaun of the Dead.
Really?
And
Same
it's-
here. Same
John's
here.
still my favorite, actually.
Yeah, me too.
If I hadn't seen it a couple years ago, I would still say that was true. I feel like the first one is a little too clunky, where the others are the distilled brilliance that I thought Shaun of the Dead was the first time I saw Shaun of the Dead, because it was so much better than anything else I had seen at the time.
I think
not to bring Shaun of the Dead down in any way, but I just find the other two
Hot Fuzz and World's End are just so fucking good.
I think it also helps if you came to Shaun of the Dead having watched Spaced previously.
I hadn't. I went to
I
Space. I went to Space
I think it's
between
important.
Hot Fuzz and World's End. And I love Spaced. No mistaking that. But
That's my
yeah,
favorite of all of their work together. That is my absolute favorite. Is that show?
I've only watched it once. I might like it the best. I'm not sure. I've only seen it once.
It's
Love
just
Spaced.
all the raw talent is there, and I love when it's just people doing what they want to do by any means necessary. It has a very interesting look to me in that way.
Mm-hmm.
Let's move on. I saw Immortals, which I think somebody recommended to me at one point.
What's Immortals?
Immortals is about
based off of the French comic.
Henry Cavill plays Theseus.
Oh, that thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Huh.
I
Can't
have
think of
that in 3D. I've fallen asleep halfway through it twice.
I watched the entire movie, the whole thing. And my God, is that it?
No.
Yeah, no,
different
that's
one.
Immortals.
That's the French movie.
No, this
My
is
mistake, my mistake.
Greek mythology.
I don't
movie.
know this.
Tarzan. This was
I'm gonna look it
Tarzan
up.
Singh, wasn't it?
Yes, Tarsem Singh, and I just don't like Tarsem Singh.
Oh,
I
2011.
didn't like
This movie.
yeah.
The Fall.
The Fall? Or The
Yeah,
Cell?
The Cell. I didn't like The Cell. I was not a fan.
Have you seen The Fall?
The
No.
Fall.
I have not seen The Fall.
The Fall is
Trailer
the
looks pretty.
best way. The Fall is the best way to experience Tarsem Singh. It's more but better of what he can do. Go
Yeah.
on.
Well, Immortals wasn't great. So
Yeah, I've heard that.
Mickey Rourke is oh God, who is he? One of the Titans, but he's a dude in it. It's not Hephaestus.
Blareros?
It's not.
I don't-
It's with an
One of
H.
the Titans?
King.
Okay.
King.
Yeah, no, yeah.
I have
yeah.
the Immortals page up. Who's the actor?
Mickey
Mickey
Rourke.
Rourke?
Mickey Rourke.
King Hyperion?
Hyperion. That's the one.
Not a Titan.
He was originally considered a Titan in original texts.
Oh, Frida
Oh.
Pinto's in this.
Okay.
Yeah.
Guess I didn't understand what Titans were. Go on.
Like I say, I've seen half of it twice. I keep falling asleep. It's pretty to look at. The 3D and the 3D version was pretty good. I need to see the rest of it at some point.
Yeah, it's not great. It is what it is. I'm gonna hang on. I think I probably I don't know. I'll save it for later. Because no, it doesn't make sense that he would be a Titan. It would make no sense. Where did I read that? I don't know. It was on the internet, so we'll just strike it as wrong and move on.
Might be the right attitude.
It says he's based on King Minos, not the Titan Hyperion. It specifically says he's not the Titan.
Oh,
Hyperion.
okay.
Oh, okay.
That's my brain conflating information or removing words.
God knows I do it.
As I understand, there is some debate as to whether it constitutes a distant prequel to 300. I think that's reaching. It's more of a ripoff.
Stephen Dorff's in it.
Yeah,
he's around.
He's always fun.
He is pretty fun. He's fun.
And anybody who could come out of Alone in the Dark with his dignity intact. Eventually.
I watch Alone in the Dark too.
Let's.
You're not 513 anymore.
All right. I've got one last one, the one I saved for last, which is the one I actually want to talk about. I finally saw Bodies.
Oh,
I hated that movie so fucking much. That movie made me want to punch that movie.
I need to get around to that.
I have to see it now.
I love that movie. I loved it. Everybody in that movie is fucking stupid, and it's hilarious.
Okay, that's going on the list.
I could see you loving that movie for the same reason that I hated that movie.
Yeah, probably.
I might need to give it another shot, but Jesus, everybody was just drowning worthy from the first moment they set foot on screen.
It's to me, it's a very effective allegory for where we are societally today.
It's not an allegory. It's just people I don't want to associate with who are out here walking these streets.
See. When I was
I see enough of those people on a daily basis. I work in an open air mall.
It actually reminded me of some of the parties I had been to in my 20s. A lot of, that's the kind of crowd I hung out with when I wasn't at cons with you guys.
So I have two comparisons. I know. Andy has seen this. Have any of the rest of you seen Plus One?
Oh, I loved Plus One.
Okay. Why did you love Plus One but hate Bodies? Because the people in Plus One are like, my impression are like the people in Bodies except sociopaths.
No, the people in Plus One are actually interesting because A, they kind of know that they're sociopaths. B, they're not stupid. And C, the general premise of Plus One is pretty interesting to begin with. Bodies is just about a bunch of stupid people being stupid.
It's about more than that. It wants to be about more than that.
That's a little reductive, but at the same time, yeah.
I have to confess I don't remember Plus One all that clearly. I screened it with the intention of maybe including it in a movie night and finding it too vile to show because it was a cosmic coincidence happens and all of the characters are duplicated like an hour and a half earlier, and our main character says, wait, this is the perfect opportunity to get with that girl I already fucked up. I just have to kill her doppelganger. I'm like, holy shit, that's where your mind went when you discovered you had a doppelganger?
They're supposed to be teenagers. They're frickin' sociopaths.
That's a step beyond just teenagers, though. So I found it that much too vile to continue. Yeah.
Well, it sort of reminds me of I had a friend who I haven't spoken with in a while, but he.
By the way, Skip is on. Skip said something a long time back that four has the robot.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry, I missed you, Skip.
Rambo 4.
That's the one I've seen the most times too. I guess I don't remember.
Yeah.
Not Rambo. Rocky buys his friend a robot waiter.
But the thing about Plus One is that it has an interesting sort of take on my friend Paramore's so-called, his doppelganger problem, which is take one of them, don't care which, throw it out the airlock.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which goes back to an episode of Farscape where they ended up with a doppelganger. It's like, if something like that ever happens to me, grab one, throw it out the airlock. I don't care which, throw one of them out the fucking airlock.
I really like how they handled it on Farscape. I think that's the
they handled it beautifully.
The only one I've ever really enjoyed. Because the one on Next Gen, when Riker...
Oh, yeah, no. They should have thrown him out the fucking airlock.
Yeah.
One of them is going to turn into Bizarro You. It's just fate. He's going to talk backwards. His skin is going to flake off. He's going to turn all gray and rocky.
That reminds me of the Lower Decks when they did the episode on the doppelganger. And,
you see, him they actually did kind of throw out the airlock, but
no, he got a job. He's on the Titan.
And then something else interesting happened to him, but
I don't remember. I just remember him going to the Titan and him being helped along by doppelganger Riker.
Yeah.
It was very funny. Anyway, yeah. I really liked Bodies. I thought it was interesting enough that I showed it to Jess the day after I watched it.
Oh wow!
I knew where it was going about exactly when the first murder happens.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, I get where this is going, but it made the movie so much funnier for me on a watch.
I probably need to rewatch it. I just really... it might have been where it got me, but it really rubbed me the wrong way the first time that I saw it.
The little details of these dumb assholes. It's really brilliant. I think so. I really enjoyed it.
It reminds me a little bit of Roger Ebert's review of The Mosquito Coast. Which was at that time describing Harrison Ford's performance as an absolute work of brilliance. So brilliant, in fact, that we can scarcely stand to spend 2 hours in the company of this consummate jerk.
On a similar point was my other comparison with a movie that I am absolutely certain none of you have seen called #Horror.
That I have not seen. I've heard of it, I think, but I have not seen it.
Yeah, do not watch it. It is not worth it. But it is a bunch of entitled
influencers.
Not exactly influencers. Mid-teen girls in a house for the weekend, and somebody is killed, and we wander around for fucking ever with these absolute horrible human beings. And I don't even remember who lives, nor do I care. So, so apparently, Bodies is somewhere between those two.
I'd say so.
Okay.
Why don't we?
If I watch it again, I'll tell you what I think. It might be catching me in a better place.
Just knowing everything and watching it with those eyes is a better experience.
I can see that.
It's so much more fun the second time. She loved it.
Oh, okay.
She did not see the twist come. Every horror movie has a twist. They all do. Shyamalan did not invent that. He just overused it.
No, he did not. Yeah.
If I work hard at it, I might find a counterexample, but go ahead.
But yeah, she didn't see it coming and just loved it. Hated it at first, and then by the end of the movie, loved it.
I really think you're going to love The Blackening anyway.
I can't wait. Yeah. All right. Well, why don't we talk about what we're going to watch for next week?
We have a vote in from Jane, who couldn't be with us this week, as well as I am all for this, and I know that you mentioned that we had mentioned it before, and I vaguely remember that.
Yeah, everybody was like, eh.
I don't know what it is. I mean,
I finally saw the trailer, is what changed.
Okay.
We have a vote in for Project Wolf Hunting, which is an apparently fairly epic, apparently unbelievably gory, apparently fairly highly acclaimed Korean action horror, I guess.
So I Saw the Devil then.
No.
No?
Very different.
Okay.
Very
Okay,
different
okay.
animal. This is like Murderous Super Soldier on a boat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Virus.
No, not. I mean, but this actually looks good.
Okay.
And this maybe not for next week, but a movie I've been wanting to see just dropped on Netflix, which is Puss in Boots: The Last Wish. I've heard that's incredible.
I've seen it.
I am told I need
That
to
is
see
good.
that.
It is very, very good.
I have heard nothing but good, but I think at this point we're kind of on board for Project.
Yeah,
Project Wolf
we have time.
Yeah.
It just
Well,
dropped on Netflix.
how long
It'll
is
be on
Project Wolf?
2 hours and 24 minutes.
Oh
Okay.
shit!
Then that's not going to be it. Because Puss in Boots, I
Yeah.
think, is around 2 hours.
Yeah.
I don't think my parents are coming to town this weekend, so I
Yeah.
maybe get one movie in, but not too long ones.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Puss in Boots is great fun, but I still wonder at the bleeping in it.
Oh, I
which
fucking
is-
loved it.
Do I need to have
Just
seen the first Puss in
blows
Boots?
me.
It's awesome. Anyway, and
Not
it's
really. Are you familiar enough with the character from
I have.
Shrek?
I saw the last thing I saw of that universe was Shrek 3, which I don't. I saw in theaters, which I don't remember.
Shrek
doesn't
2
matter.
Was the one with Puss in Boots in it. Yeah.
Oh,
it
I
doesn't
saw
particularly
I saw
matter.
Shrek
they
2 in
do
theaters as well.
they do a quick little
nice to know the
visual
character.
aid referencing
Yeah.
what he's done in the past. You don't need to remember any of it. It does not matter.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's nice to know the character beforehand because it builds on the character a lot. But
I generally remember the
I'm not
character. but-
And Salma Hayek, her character has been
Isn't
in
it?
other Puss in Boots.
Soft Paws?
Yeah.
Yeah, she has.
Oh, I don't know who that is.
I just don't remember if it was the first movie or
First movie.
the TV show.
No, it was the first movie.
Oh, I said
I don't know if she
long.
was in the TV show.
She
but,
might have been in the
she was
TV show.
definitely in the. She was definitely in the first movie.
I mean, Salma Hayek wasn't in the TV show, but I think the character was.
I have no
Anyway,
idea.
I'd all for it in any case, and I feel like I would probably be fine absent the series context. I've just heard it is an unexpectedly great movie.
Yeah, I really want to see it.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Okay.
All right.
I have no context, so I'll go into it blind, which, in my opinion, is the best way to approach.
I know
these.
nothing
love
about this
trailers.
movie.
All right.
I love trailers, but
Should I not watch the
being
trailer?
being given an advisor.
Yeah, it's always better to not watch the trailer, in my opinion.
Okay. I'm
This
think-
one I don't. This one feels. I don't know. It feels like it might give away a little bit of stuff, but at the same time, it was what sold me on actually watching the thing.
Yeah. You have
aside from-
enough information from what Jenner already said.
Yeah.
I would say.
Yeah,
so.
and in the meantime, the only other thing that I know about it, other than the trailer, is Jane is kind of into the protagonist of the thing.
Yeah.
She's been watching a lot of K-dramas, and he's her present crush. So no, all for it.
All right. Anything anybody else wants to say? We good?
Think we're good.
All right. Well,
we're
that's
good,
gonna
yeah.
do it for us. Join us next week for whatever we just said that I just forgot
Project Wolf Hunting.
about.
Project
Wolf
Wolf
Hunting.
Project Wolf Hunting. Thank you.
That
Please like, subscribe, do all that fun stuff. It's fun. It's great. We would appreciate it. You don't have to, but